All right, time to bring in our friend, show friend, my friend, Conor O'Neill at Conor O'Neill _DI, Deacons Illustrated, Devils Illustrated. Before we start here, I will point this out because it was pointed out to me that the Tarheels got a commitment from another linebacker today, formerly of Oklahoma State, and I believe they have a top 10 football portal class, top 10 national. So I think that's according to Rivals. That's pretty good. Before we get into the Devils and the Deeks in terms of basketball rosters, Conor O'Neill, you have any thoughts on what Bill Belichick might be accomplishing over there that doesn't have to do with Jordan Hudson?
I was going to say we're actually going to have a conversation about North Carolina football that doesn't involve Jordan.
Yeah, I have no interest in that.
I'll plead ignorance on this a little bit. I don't know much of their roster because every headline is
I don't either.
Jordan Hudson.
Yeah. I don't know anything. I just saw the a ranking in the top 10. Were you somebody, because this is a broad conversation, were you somebody who thought that Bill could work, or were you a skeptic because no college experience, isn't going to be here very long? Which, by the way, I think all of those criticisms are valid.
Yeah, I've been skeptical. From the first headline, I thought that there was just a leverage play to get an NFL team to bite on him. Like, I was in disbelief that it was even going to happen until they're sitting there in the Blue Zone, or I think it's called, and introducing him. I mean, and there's part of me that's still now going back and looking at the buyout information. I think, doesn't it drop from $10 million to $1 million on June 1?
Yes. Yeah, we are almost there.
There's a sliver of me that's looking at that and thinking, man, what if he just decides this isn't worth it and hands it over to his son?
Or to Jordan.
Yeah. Well, which one? I mean, Michael could come back and coach football at this point. Like, he has as much college football coaching experience as Bill, doesn't he?
Yes. No, but didn't. Yeah, I guess. Was Bill ever an assistant at Navy, or was it all in? I did read that Belichick was going to be on Lou Holtz's staff at NC State.
Oh, okay. That's news to me. I thought all the college football ties were through his dad and were his dad's.
Oh, no, you might be right, but that something got in the way of Belichick taking a job at NC State, that he was going to be hired by NC State. But I thought was also Joe Montana was going to come here to play basketball, but he ended up going to Notre Dame to play football. I've been told that is a true story. All right, now to the stuff that I actually texted you about. Let me just start. With the rosters for both Duke and Wake Forest. You can start either way, whichever place you care about. You care about both, but wherever you want to start. Talk to me about where those rosters sit as we are, still months away from everything.
Well, I'll start with Wake because theirs is pretty much finalized. They've brought in 5 guys from the portal, names that aren't going to jump off the page as top 10 portal ads. They're not paying $3 to $4 million for any of these guys, but Wake needed to retool its roster. They're losing Hunter Salas, Efton Reed, and Cameron Hildreth, 3 seniors that played a ton of minutes the last couple seasons. Cam Hildreth for 4 years. So Wake went out and got a point guard from Washington State, Nate Calmese. They got a guard from Washington. There's a lot of ties between Winston-Salem and the Pacific Northwest, between Jake Dickert and bringing that staff and those connections, and then where Wake is getting a couple of their basketball transfers from. And then you have the Ole Miss football game being canceled and Wake Forest replacing it with a trip to Oregon State next season. Mm-hmm. It is some wild tie-ins, but look, Wake has done a really good job, I think, finding guys that I don't think they were going to go out and find somebody as talented as Hunter Salas to replace Hunter Salas. I think they did the best under a budget that they could do. I think the best addition is the center they brought in from Valparaiso, Cooper Schweiger. Should be able to give them, 30 to 32 minutes a night at the center position. That's also the one hole on the roster is they don't really have a backup center. So they went into the portal knowing that they have a lot of guys that can play the four, and they're going to have to figure out a way to piecemeal together the minutes behind Cooper Schweiger because no center is playing 40 minutes a night. Whether that means, Trayvon Spillers filled in there last year. He's capable of doing that again. I think bringing back Juke Harris was a really important start to the offseason for Wake. He's a promising sophomore now, and they've got some other guys. It's going to be interesting. I've been critical of Steve and the way his teams have come together. I think they need to have more depth. Mm-hmm. And on paper, on May, whatever it is, I think May 8th?
Yes.
Or May 7th. At least right now, it looks like they have depth. Now, 6 months from now, I don't know if they're actually going to have depth.
One thing you said to me would make me worry if I were a Wake Forest fan. They don't have, the money to throw at players out of the portal. That is the way of the world. It is free agency in college sports. That's what that is. And the schools with the most resources are going to get the best players. So I do wonder if, down the road we're not seeing other problems because you're not able to build a roster as good. They haven't made the NCAA. I mean, they made the NCAA tournament under Forbes or no? Once?
They have not. It's just been once in the last 15 years, and that was the John Collins season in Danny Manning's third year.
That's a long time ago. Yeah. Conor O'Neill, Devils Illustrated now. One player that we know of out of the portal, but he's in the NBA draft pool right now, and he may stay in, may come back to Duke. But like the high-profile returnees are great, and they've got a lot of them. They've got great recruits coming in, but it's not the deep roster right now that it was a year ago. What are you hearing? I'm
hearing it all kind of hinges on what Cedric Howard decides to do. He's a guy that you look at, and we have the quote from John Shire at the end of the season where he said, Sion Jameses don't grow on trees.
Right.
And that's obvious. There'd be some pretty big trees to churn those guys out. But you look at Cedric Howard and look at his skill set, he's been really efficient. Of course, he only played 6 games last year. He was really good for Washington State, but it got hurt with a shoulder injury that required surgery. I look at Cedric Howard, and I think Duke wants to use him the same way that they use Sion James, kind of spend some time on the ball, spend some time off the ball, be a catch-and-shoot menace. I think his catch-and-shoot numbers were maybe over 50% on three-pointers last season or 2 seasons ago. But, man, if he doesn't come, then I think there's going to be contingency plans that are being lined up right now. I think not beholden to the contingency plan is they've brought in a class of 2026 guy, Sebastian Wilkins from Brewster Academy.
Okay, they did that. That is the done deal?
No, not done deal. They brought him in for a visit this week.
Oh, okay.
So he visited. Braden Hawthorne is a West Virginia decommit. He visited over the weekend before Sebastian Wilkins. I don't know if Duke takes both of those if Cedric Howard comes to Duke.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if the roster works out that you can take both of those guys, but I think if Cedric Howard comes, you take one of those guys. I think Sebastian Wilkins could reclass and get up to the class of 2025 and be at Duke next season. But it all just, it kind of hinges right now on Cedric Howard. And you also have, he tweeted to the official account that he was coming back, but Isaiah Evans is in the process.
Yeah.
Like, the paperwork is in there. The possibility, however slim, pun intended.
Yes.
The chances that he stays in the draft are he could stay in the draft if he goes and shoots lights out at the combine and he has a combine invite. If he goes and interviews well, and every draft we say the same thing. It just takes one team to fall in love with you.
Right.
Just takes one team to sit there and say, we're picking 27th. We're just looking for one missing link, and we think it's a guy that is a volume scorer to this level, and that team could tell Isaiah Evans, we're going to take you at 27. We're going to stay there, and if you're available, then you're our guy.
Conor O'Neill, Devils Illustrated, Deacons Illustrated. Fortunately, they both start with the D, so it's Conor O'Neill _DI. Final thing, and I guess the ACC agreed to do it yesterday, but conference schedules are going from 20 to 18, which unfortunately means that we're only going to have one home and home. That'll be Carolina Duke. It'll be Wake and State, which means only one State Carolina game, which I don't get. Only one Duke Wake game, which probably less of a big deal, but still a deal. What are your thoughts on what the ACC is trying to do with scheduling?
I think it can benefit the league only if teams take those extra two non-conference games that they get to schedule now and schedule aggressively. Don't give yourself two more games against, all due respect, but, USC Upstate and whoever else, Gardner-Webb or whatever.
Right.
Don't make those games your replacements. Go out and find some Q1s or high-level Q2s. And then the ACC has to win these games. At some point, it just becomes not a discussion about how can you game the metrics. It's can you actually win the games that matter? And the games that matter to the ACC are in November and December. Like the ACC can win some games when it matters in March.
Right.
Not so much this past year, but we've talked about this for years now. But yeah, you have to actually go and win those games. You can't just sit here and say, well, our league gets better as the year goes on. We have so many different styles and
right.
Like that. That's all well and good, but that's all PR. Like we have to get to results of this, and the results have to be good for the ACC and the non-conference. I think the scheduling model is dumb that we have to play everybody in the league. We don't do it in football. We don't do it in baseball. I don't understand why. Oh, it's basketball. We must play everybody once in basketball. I don't think we have to. Yeah.
I want to see make your schedule for TV, make your schedule for fans. Maybe that's the same, but make a more attractive, enticing conference basketball schedule. And who cares about equity? And who cares that Wake and Cal will play? Nobody cares. Nobody's buying a ticket at Cal to see Wake, and nobody's buying a ticket at Wake to see Cal. I mean, I get it. Why Cal wants Duke to come out there every other year. I get that. Just like the Notre Dame football thing. Wake wants Notre Dame to come to their stadium, every few years. I frankly don't think it matters to the league as a whole, but it certainly matters to Wake. So I totally understand that. And it matters that you carve out time for us, Conor. I appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure. It's a downtime, man. I can come on here every day if you want me to.
I'll call you later.
All right.
Conor O'Neill, at Conor O'Neill _DI on Twitter. I got plenty of time. Good.